BORTLE here, back from the LCS 7 event of the online format. So here we have back to the channel of Christian Thomas topping another LCS event. My goodness. And whoa, we have Paulo here topping as well with their team of Fala Galera making to the finals. Finalists right here, guys. Welcome to the channel,
Yeah.
guys.
What's up, Paulo?
Thank you.
What's up?
What's up?
What made you guys decide to use these decks for this event?
So I played Dino for this event. Pretty much Dino was a deck I really liked because I thought that Dragon Link was still the deck to beat. And I think Dino has a really good matchup against that. So that's the reason I went with Dino.
Okay, and overall, how was both of your experience during this 3v3 event? Because I was told that you can only speak with amongst each other in Discord and you have to type to your opponents.
For us, I think we did it a little bit different than the other teams because we actually weren't in a Discord call together because we thought that it might have been too distracting. So we just rather focused on our games, and then when one person is done, we sometimes wrote about plays on DB, but for the most part, I think we just focused on our matches.
Yeah, it was pretty much that.
I think
All right.
generally speaking, the event was pretty cool though. Like, I think Luxury is doing a pretty good job at keeping the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh scene alive with all the LCSs they're doing. And yeah, I think it's a really good opportunity to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh because the prizes are also just really good.
Oh yes, who doesn't like money? Okay, before we start the deck profiles, would you guys like to do some shoutouts, starting with Christian?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely shoutouts to my teammates, of course. I think the preparation for this event was good. Like we always talked about the decks we consider, etc. And then also shoutouts, especially to Franco Persano. He's pretty much the guy who told me, or who taught me how to play Dino. I think he's super experienced with the deck, and like we tested the mirror a lot. And I think without him, I wouldn't be able to play this deck this well. And then also shoutouts to the Irish Discord and all the people in it. I think there were 5 teams in the LCS top cuts of that Discord, and the winners team, yeah, was also from that Discord. So yeah, pretty good.
Now we're gonna have Christian present his deck profile.
Yeah, so as I said before, I played Dino. I think my list was like not super special because I think it's just Dino that works. I made a few changes from my last LCS Dino list because I felt that Uka was getting worse because like people were cutting smoke grenade and dragons, and I think that was the main selling point for Uka because they didn't do Herald before Fiber, so you can just Uka them, bring the statue, and then you pretty much win. But since that wasn't the case anymore, I was cutting Uka, and also I felt that the mirror match was getting more popular since I did well last LCS, and also other people did well with it, so I had to make some adjustments for that as well. So I think the Dino standard, the Dino engine is of course pretty standard. Like I played the triple OV, triple Misk, then the 2 Archos and the 3 babies. I think that's like super standard. And then I played 2 UCTs, one Punker Tops. Then for the spells, I used 3 Pots, 3 Fossil Dig, 3 Lost Worlds, and then I played 3 Mystic Mine this time. This was a change from last time. Like I said, I wanted something else instead of Uka. And I think Mystic Mine is really, really good in this meta game. It's easily one of the best cards in the deck because the way the Dino engine works is that you can easily force interactions going second because obviously Ovi Raptor can search Pankratops, which they pretty much have to negate, and you can also run over stuff with that first. Also miscellaneous, the Graveyard effect, they obviously also have to negate that. And so the way you usually play into the Dragon Link spot is that you try to bait every interaction and then you just activate Mystic Mine and pretty much win from there. I usually wouldn't wait for them to deck out because some people played outs in the deck. For example, I think it was Cody who played 2 of the Dragon Maid Trap, which is essentially an out to Mystic Mine. So the way I would usually go with the matchup is that I would just wait until I have Lost World, which I can activate over Mystic Mine, and then I would just wait until I have Lost World plus a hand which OTKs them. And that way I'm not risking any Spell Trap removal on mine. Then I played Run Terraforming, of course, can search Lost World and Mystic Mine, which is pretty cool. And of course the 2 Evolution Pills. Then I still wanted to play some hand traps. Like I said, I think Ash is pretty good because Dino is getting more and more popular, and I think Ash is one of the best hand traps against this deck. Also, I thought Droll was getting worse against Dragon Link because I think most good people were playing around Droll now. The way you do that is you just don't use the striker effect to search, and then the first search you will do is Romulus, and that pretty much makes draw like a lot worse. That's why I didn't really like it anymore. Also, against the mirror, the games are usually more grindy. Like the mirror is pretty much a control matchup. Like it's a big misconception that you just do your first turn board and then the opponent can break it if they don't have hand traps. The mirror is actually pretty grindy and it's more about holding resources. So obviously in a grindy matchup, draw is not really good since it doesn't take away resources. It only gives you a turn. So that's why I really didn't like it anymore. And I think Ash, like I said, it just hits the mirror well and is also generally a good around hand trap. Like it pretty much hits every matchup. And then Gamma, of course, one of the best hand traps, especially for this deck, since you can also prevent cards like the opponent's Gamma on the miscellaneous grave effect. You can prevent Ash on Pot or on the misgrave effect. Also, it's really good against Lancia or Joel. So I think Gamma is definitely the best hand trap in this deck by far, since it makes your own plays go through, and it's obviously really impactful against the opponent's run once. And then for the last hand traps, I played 3 Nibiru and 2 Impermanence. Nibiru was mainly for the Dragon Link and Infernoble matchup. I think it's still probably the best hand trap in those matchup if you pair it with anything. So that's why I like it. Of course, it's not really good against Mirror and against Dogma Invoke, but since I thought that Dragon Link was still really popular, I didn't want to cut it. And then Impermanence is also like just generically pretty good. Like even in the Mirror, most people are going for Dolka, then you just keep the Impermanence for your turn. You don't use it on their turn, and then you just hit the Dolka in your turn.
So, what are your thoughts on set rotation in the main deck?
Yeah, set rotation. I was playing that for the longest time actually, but then last minute I cut the set rotation for 2 Impermanences, which is something I did regret, to be honest, because I had this list with no Impermanences in it and set rotation and 40 cards. But last minute, I thought like Impermanence was good because I saw some other people playing it in Dinos, and then I just thought like this was safer. But in the end, I would have played set rotation over the 2 Impermanences, to be honest.
Would you like to run down the extra deck?
Yeah, sure. So here I also made some different choices compared to my last LCS deck, because obviously Invoke won the last LCS, so I thought that having some Maximus targets in your extra deck was pretty good for that matchup, since people didn't really expect it. So I played 1 Macabre, 1 Nova, and 1 Entis. And usually the only card you really lose to against Dogma Invoke is Swinda, since you don't necessarily care as much about Macabre. So if they go for Maximus, you just send Nova and Entis, go Nova chaining 1, Entis chaining 2, target Macabre. So then they either have to let the Macabre die, or they raise 1 monster in their hand to negate the Entis, and then Nova also special summons your Macabre. So that's just like pretty much an auto win against that matchup, which I think was really good this event. Then I played 1 Omega. Could be a bit greedy to go with Omega, but for me it still came up this event as well, that you just Gamma on your own turn, and then you just summon Omega, and from there on it's pretty much an auto win, since they necked 1 because of using the hand trap, and then Omega rips another card out of their hand. So I still like it. Then for my rank 4s, of course, the 2 Dolka, 1 Drella, 1 Tornado. I didn't play Lagia for this event because I just needed room for the Maximus targets, and I think Lagia is definitely the rank 4 that comes up the least. I think all of them, or all of those that I played, are way more important. One thing I would consider in the future is playing Baguska, since I think that card is also pretty good against the Dino Mirror, but I think it was fine without it, since Drella is also just really insane against the Mirror. Like, they just can't do anything, and that's also usually the way I would go in the Mirror. You just summon Drella turn 1, you just keep your resources, and then next turn you try to push. And then I played the 3 generic links, like Phoenix, Unicorn, Access Code. Like, you don't necessarily need them, that's why I didn't play multiples of them. Like, it's fine to banish copies of Extravagance, but they're still good for link climbing. Access Code helps OTKing sometimes. And then for the last 4 links, it's just 2 Linkuriboh, 2 Secure Gardener for the Evolution Pill play. Also, Linkuriboh is really good against the Mirror. Like, usually I just don't activate Pill against the Mirror going first, because I would rather have the Linkuriboh to attribute their Lost Road token. Also, keeping Evolution Pill in general is good against the Mirror, since, like I said, you just want to keep resources and try to push in turn 3 and not turn 1, because they can pretty much easily break your board with their own UCT, so you rather just keep the Pill. And then for my side deck, there I also made some some changes. So I played Free Crow for this event instead of Lancia. I liked Lancia before because it covered a lot of matchups, but I think with Dino getting more and more popular, I think Crow's the better card than Lancia because, like I said, the matchup is really grindy and Lancia is a droll type of card. It doesn't take away resources. So it could easily happen that you Lancia your opponent, they just set like Ice Dragon's Prison, which is pretty popular post side, or they just like pass with Ash or Gamma, and then you also can't play. And then if they stop you, they can play again because you didn't take away resources. But Crow on Misk is like so brutal because, first of all, they can't really play through that often, and also you just take away their Misk. So even if they stop you next turn, they still can't combo off in the next turn. So that's why I think Crow is pretty good. It was also good because surprisingly Buster Blader was, not really popular in this event, but it performed really well. I think there were 2 Buster Bladers that topped, and Crow's also good against this matchup because you can chain it to the Memories Trap in Grave and prevent them from fusion summoning the VFD guy. It's pretty much the win condition of the deck, and Crow's also really good in that matchup. Then I decided to draw it. This is something I would change in hindsight as well. I had it in my main deck for the last LCS because I liked it against Dragon Link. I think at that point people weren't really aware of Droll yet. I wasn't super confident in cutting Droll entirely because I think the average player still wasn't playing around Droll, so I still wanted to have it just in case. And it's also just like more hand traps against Dragon Link in general. It also hits Dogma Invoked, but I think in hindsight I would play Token Collector over it because Infernoble is one of the worst matchups of this deck because you don't play as many hand traps against them, and obviously Mystic Mine isn't as good because they can just smoke grenade it out of your hand. So that's why I would play Token Collector instead. Then I played the free spread trap removal. I went with Twin over Lightning Storm because it's a card that you can activate in the mid game, and you can actually grind versus backrow decks, and obviously drawing Storm in the mid game versus backrow, it's usually pretty dead because you have face-up cards. Also, when you get Mystic Mind, Twin is also better than Storm because you can activate Twin even with having monsters on field, which you couldn't do with Storm. So it's also a better Mystic Mine out. And then, of course, the 1 Feather Duster. Then I played 1 Call by the Grave. This is really good against the Mirror, but also pretty good against most decks because I was expecting Droll and Lancia to be really popular, and of course, Cold hits that. And then for the last cards in my side deck, I just cited the 6 Traps. Obviously, Survive Its End, I explained it in my last profile why I think this card is really good. And then I didn't play Rivalry again for this event because, again, I thought Dino was pretty popular, which it was. It was the second most popular deck. And Ice Dragon's Prison is just the best card for that matchup, honestly. Like, it's so flexible. You can use it when they go OV at Misk, use Misk hand effect, and it's just a complete blowout. But even if they just start with Misk, you can also just special summon the Misk to your side. And the third application is that you can do it in the battle phase to banish the conductor to prevent an OTK. So I think this card was really good. And it's also generically good traps against other decks, right? Like versus Dragon Link, it's also just good because you can wait for Romulus, banish the dragon, banish the Romulus from field. So I think it was pretty good overall.
Well, you definitely chose right to use dinosaurs for this event because, again, it was everywhere.
There was 3 dinosaurs in the finals, yeah. Pretty insane.
In closing, what do you guys think about this event? Like, do you have any final thoughts?
Yeah, I think it was pretty nice. I think Hani also said that they're going to do another 3v3 LCS. I think in LCS 10, I think this is going to be the next one. I think it's a pretty cool idea. And yeah, I think the event was like super competitive. There were so many good people playing, like Cameron Neal, Kamal, Cody, all of them topped. I think Jesse was also playing. And I think it's just pretty cool to have like events like that with many good people participating in them during this COVID format.
Yeah, 3v3 is the type of event that brings a lot of players back. Like I never play LCS. This was the first one that I played. It's really nice to have this event. So it's a good way to have a competitive environment to play.
I think having friends that you can play with is also pretty nice. Like Paulo said, we pretty much talk for every event. So it was pretty cool to play with him. And then I also know Herman. So it's definitely cool to play with your friends in a tournament like that.
Well, thank you guys for being a part of this deck profile.
Yeah,
thank you. Sure.
And listeners, if you're not a part of BORTLE Nation, sub for BORTLE. It's that easy and it's free. Oh God, yes. real quick, I just want to congratulate Kyle for winning last week's giveaway. So please contact me via social media so I can send you these items. Thank you so much for your support. So again, guys, make sure to comment down below, like the video, and don't forget to sub for BORTLE as we venture off to 10,000 subscribers so we can do our ultimate giveaway, the biggest giveaway ever on the channel. That's going to be it, guys. BORTLE out again. Oh God, yes.